Thanks for checking out Symphony on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.
All right, let's begin by asking you, first of all, what's the position of things in the Southeast region, particularly in Abia State, where you come from, in terms of economic prospect?
Well, economic prospects very bright, occasioned by, some of the things that have been put in place, especially in Abia State, where Governor Kezibazo presides. You know that in 2015, when he took the mantle of leadership, one of the areas he emphasized on as one of the great pillars of his administration will be to rebuild the economy of Abia State, especially a city like Aba, where you had Aba that was known before that time as the Japan of Africa. You know, you have the center of SME, center of entrepreneurship, center of commerce and trade. It's important to note that the position of Aba, geographical location of Aba, gives Aba huge advantage in terms of trade and commerce, because Aba sits at the epicenter of the entire Southeast South-South region. You hardly can crisscross any parts of the Southeast and South-South without passing through Aba. And so naturally that confers huge advantage on the city. So when he came on board, he noted that Aba had dilapidated, Aba had lost its glory as a center of commerce, and there was a deliberate plan and effort to rebuild and relaunch Aba to national and global fame. So we did a few things. Of course, first was to set up a team even before the elections to understudy the SME ecosystem in Aba, and we were able to identify certain challenges. First was...
Now, we'll come to all of that, because you seem to be, talking about the achievement of your governor now, but we're looking at the Southeast region in general in terms of commerce and trade. We do know that in Onitsha, for instance, they are known for businesses. Most times you see importers and exporters. That's what they call themselves, people who thrive in businesses. In Abia State, like Aba you're talking about, I used to know when people go to Aba, you talk about Aba shoes, Aba clothes, and all that. Those things don't seem to be as much as it used to be, probably because of insecurity, or are there other factors that are affecting it appears to be dwindling, really?
Let me quickly correct the facts. Today, Aba shoe has become more globally known and more globally accepted, even nationally, than it was before. I'm sure you are aware that we have just set up the most ultra-modern shoe factory in Nigeria, Enyimba Automated Shoe Factory, which was as a result of some of the things I was alluding to earlier, a deep study of the ecosystem. We took some 30 youths to China to train them in an automated shoe factory, and we came back with our Chinese partners, set up a brand new end-to-end automated shoe factory. Today, that factory is producing shoes for the Nigerian Railway. We've just done some job for the Nigerian Railway, Nigerian Breweries, PEP, a South African chain, So Aba shoe today, unlike what it used to be before, has become a global brand. And, occasioned by the support we got from the federal government with when the acting president, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, issued order number 3, most federal MDAs, military, the police, today we signed all the agreements with these agencies to become the major supplier of shoe to these agencies. But back to your question about insecurity and challenges in the Southeast. Today, Southeast is very calm. Like Governor Ibazu said some time ago, the insecurity challenge we have in the Southeast is quite existential. Some of them, when you try to look at the challenge of insecurity in the Southeast, what you should actually look at is not the what, but the why and the how. How did we get here? Why did we get here? Not because most times in Nigeria, we deal with issues just looking at the symptoms. We don't go deep to look at what are the root causes of those challenges. The insecurity in the Southeast, of course, the recent one, occasioned by the level of agitation by some young people in the Southeast who felt, the country was running in such a way that the Southeast was not being carried along in terms of appointment. They started sensitive position in terms of the political management of Nigeria, that the Southeast was actually being left behind. And several agitations came up, in several forms, And of course, that's threw up some real challenges. But I think it's been dealt with, and the political leadership in the South rose to the occasion and engaged with the federal government, and a lot of negotiations, conversations are ongoing. And I think that with the current situation, there's a lot of calm, in the entire length and breadth of the Southeast. If you go to Owerri, that used to be the hospitality hub for the Southeast, calm has returned to Imo State. In Anambra, calm has returned. We have pockets of violent criminal activities in Enugu recently, but Enugu still has some air of security. Southeast is not as endangered security-wise as like other parts of the country where we have, ungoverned spaces, even though sometimes federal governments, claim that some, whether technically or otherwise, those challenges have been dealt with. But the Southeast generally, there seems to pervade an air of tranquility, because the agitations in the Southeast are things that could be solved not, by the barriers of gun, but by mere discussion and negotiation and adjusting to how our national politics is being played. And I think that if the leaders in Abuja will listen to the governors of the Southeast and the leaders from the Southeast and they, align themselves with the solutions they are proffering, we won't have the Easterner, the Igbo man, is more like a businessman. So economic growth, commercial activities, businesses cannot grow in an environment of chaos. So once there are challenges of insecurity, the leadership, everybody, the youth, everybody come out and say, no, we need to deal with this issue because this is actually going to affect us.
All right, until recently, we had pockets of attacks in the Southeast, and that was a worrisome development, and not just to the people of the Southeast region, but, to everyone in the country. Let's look at how the unrest, in the Southeast impacted on economic activities in that region.
Naturally, everywhere in the world, when you have unrest, it affects several things. Of course, like you mentioned on Onitsha and Aba, these are trading posts. People come from outside the shores of Nigeria. In Aba alone, we do over 1 million shoes, leather products out of Aba every week, and most of them find these items find themselves in markets outside Nigeria. So from Cameroon, from Togo, from all the countries around the sub-region come to Aba to buy these products. So when there is insecurity, of course, lockdown, checkpoints, and all those kind of things, of course, it will affect the economy. But like I said, I think we're dealing with the issues and we're resolving those issues because our people are seeing, there's more advantage in, having a more peaceful, atmosphere because, of course, that's how their businesses will thrive. And one of the things, like I mentioned, the what and how and why. In Abia, for example, the governor adopted the approach of dealing with insecurity from the bottom-top approach. We invest more in intelligence gathering, research, and planning. The approach most times that we see at the national space is aggression. But sometimes, peace can only be, gotten when you sit on the round table and discuss and find out the issues. And like I mentioned, the challenges we have, that's, of course, the symptoms that we see in terms of insecurity are existential. Some of them are political, some of them are economic issues. You can't have the number of young people that we have in Nigeria who are unemployed and in the unemployment market, and you expect to have peace. That's why in Abia, one of the things we have deliberately done is to revamp the SME ecosystem because we think that has the capacity and platform to engage more of our young people. Because when young people are engaged, naturally, because they form bulk of the army of the people that, of course, cause social upheavals. When they are engaged, properly and productively, they will not have time to be engaged in activities that...
Now that you're here, let's see this opportunity to find out from you what has been done to address the infrastructure deficits in Abia State, particularly in Aba.
Well, let me start by saying that if you had come to Aba in 2015 and you go to Aba of today, you will marvel at the level of infrastructural development that happened in the space. When we came in 2015, doing a deep dive on the SME ecosystem, because we are not doing infrastructure for the sake of infrastructure. Governor Ikpeazu does most of the projects that we are doing in Aba. It has underlying philosophies. For example, we introduced cement rigid pavement technology in Aba for a reason. Previous administrations in Abia, of course, must have spent money in Aba, but most of the roads done by those previous administrations hardly last one more or two rainy season cycles. But when we came, we did a deep study of the topography of Aba, and it revealed that Aba sits at the lowest points, in topography, and that was what led us to introduce the rigid cement pavement technology. Because we were also thinking, if you are an investor and you want to site a factory in a city like Aba, because of course the entire Aba space is commercial and industrial, you will be thinking about the durability of the road where your trucks and all your vehicles will ply. You understand? So that rigid cement pavement technology that we introduced since 2015, you will go back to Aba today, all the roads that were done, even when on the first day of his resumption of office as governor of the state, he resumed his, work on the streets of Aba. All those roads, over 180 roads in Abia State, have been done by this administration. And most of those roads were done with intent to open our space for a more economic, robust economic activities. Before we came on board, Aba was closed. You couldn't access Aba from the Calabar flank, from the Akwa Ibom flank, because bulk of the people who come to Aba to do business come from Akwa Ibom, Calabar, all the way down to Cameroon. But, so we did two roads, opening up the space, and today we did 3 roads, Ehere, Umuola, and...
All right, let's look at the insecurity that you're promoting your governor now on this show, and I'm not going to let you do that.
No, but I'm stating facts.
Well,
clear facts.
We have to verify that. Okay, so let's look at the insecurity, really, because it's not just about Aba now. The Southeast region generally is known for trade.
Why do you keep dragging me? I told you.
No, I have to.
Insecurity. Okay, let's just say.
No, in recent times, even before now, just maybe a few days, a few weeks away from now, we heard about attacks on police stations.
Yeah, I told you that those
police formations and all that.
Supposedly, again, let me just address something. Security issues are not usually discussed in the open, because security issues, there are several factors that are underlying tactical and technical issues that are involved in security issues. But what, generally we felt that had happened was, there was this immediate conclusion by the security forces in Nigeria that maybe it's still not verifiable that members of
IPOB,
what do you call that? IPOB were responsible for those attacks. And most times they have come out to deny that they were not responsible for those attacks.
You alluded to the fact that, there are certain underlying issues that provoked, these agitations in the Southeast. As someone in government, do you think the leadership of the Southeast is in tune with the ordinary people of that region in these agitation and the approach with which they have carried on, these demands?
Every government in the Southeast today is a legitimate government elected by the people of the Southeast in a popular electoral contest. So they hold the mandate for the people. But you do not take away the fact that certain citizens, certain personalities, maybe youths or all kinds of organizations, may begin to think that the approach of those who hold the reins of legitimate authority in the Southeast may not be appropriate. But the fact is that, what an elder sees sitting down, a young person climbing an iroko tree may not see it. For example, the approach, my governor had canvassed this philosophy, that as Southeasterners, we cannot approach the issues by aggression. We have our people all over the country, and most of them are doing good businesses. For example, I sit in this city in Abuja. Virtually over 60% of massive properties and investments here in Lagos, in Kano, everywhere, owned by the Southeast. We cannot approach our agitation by, being violent and by aggression. So that's why the leadership of the Southeast think that the best way to approach it is to engage constructively with the federal government. And like some time ago, Governor Kesim has volunteered himself and asked the federal government to mandate him to discuss with all the leadership of the agitating groups in the South, including Nnamdi Kanu. He was open to engage him and discuss with him and find out. And like he mentioned some time ago, the issues around the agitations of those young people from the Southeast are issues that agitate even the minds of people outside the Southeast. You understand? Every Nigeria today understands the fact that there is need to sit down and talk about the system. You know, even the Northerners, even the Westerners, and today have agreed, have come to that agreement that Nigeria needs to sit down and discuss the nationhood. Let me give you, just a few weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, I spent the whole of the week in Kigali, in Rwanda. That will be my 4th time in Rwanda. And every time I make a stop in Kigali, I take it as a duty to visit the Rwanda Genocide Memorial Garden. One lesson I take out of that place is that immediately after the genocide, there was a closure. There is just one single history of the crisis that that was faced by that country. Today in Nigeria, can we honestly say that there is a closure to the challenges of the Civil War? There are as many narratives about the Civil War as there are many actors during the Civil War. So can we take a look? So what I took from there, today if you go on the streets of Kigali and ask someone, are you Tutsi or Hutu? In aggression, they will respond, I'm a Rwandese, I'm a Rwandese. You understand? Now, let me just leave it, because this is a national TV. You cannot build a nation where you don't have a rallying national philosophy. Like my governor, Kesim, said some time ago, Nigeria is practically becoming an orphan. Who really owns Nigeria? Because to build a nation where to build the spirit of patriotism, you understand, people must tie their relationship with the nation to something. You understand? So the agitations that you see springing up here and there in the Northeast, Southwest, the Sunday Igbo is busy in the whole of the Southwest, mobilizing the Oduduwa for Oduduwa Republic.
What do the people of the Southeast, need to live happily within the Nigerian space?
There's an adage in my place that says when you are involved in polygamy, you have many wives. They said if you treat all your wives equally the same way, you will have peace. For example, we have a nation where in the security architecture of Nigeria, whenever the Security Council meets, there is no Southeasterner. There's no Igbo man sitting in that council. So when you discuss insecurity, because some of them have sociological background, when you discuss insecurity in that kind of meeting, who gives you the perspective from the Southeast? You understand? We have seen, and of course, that's why I said the leadership of the Southeast, the Ohanese, the Governors Forum, they are engaging the federal government. And I'm very confident that engagement will bear positive results. So
that engagement is ongoing now, right?
It's ongoing.
Okay, so there are some people who believe that with the kind of entrepreneurial development in the Southeast region, everyone knows they are prone to business and commerce and industry, that it can actually be turned into a Dubai of some sort in the country if maybe the governors or the leadership of that region really looks into that direction. Is it feasible to achieve that?
Very, very feasible. And I tell you one thing. But again, every state of Nigeria is a federating unit. Every state governor has his or her priorities and the way he said it. But Fabia, for example, we are building a new Dubai. We are working with the federal government, the private sector. In fact, this process is led by the private sector. We are building Enyimba Economic City. It's a free trade zone licensed 9,800 hectare economic city that has already received free trade zone license from the federal government, gazetted. We have all the approvals we need. We have done design. This economic city won sometime in 2 years ago. It became the best city amongst the ranking by Chartered Institute. It's a US-based institute that rates economic city developments across the world. It came first before a city in Russia and a city in Australia. The African Development Bank, the Afro-Exim, and major global finance development institutions have, are on board the project. What do we seek to achieve? We want to turn the entire ecosystem as a trading platform and manufacturing hub for the entire Africa space. Of course, because it has free trade zone status, its municipal laws and jurisprudence policies are, of course, not controlled by our national laws. And it's very attractive to the global community, to the global investing community. But before, that's the big dream that we are pushing. But before that time, we have done a lot of things. Let me give you one example of what we have done. When we talked about the shoe, when we did a deep study, we noticed that we can become the leather hub, the shoe and leather manufacturing hub for Africa. I tell you, 1 million leather products leave about every week and find itself in the entire African.
The quality has always been a challenge.
But I just told you that we just set up the most ultra-modern automated shoe factory in Nigeria. We went to some of the best places. I was involved in that. We went to China, went to Turkey, went to Bangladesh to look at, what obtains there. One of the things we did to deal with the issue of challenge, if you had let, it's, what we are doing with Aba and the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem in Abia is not a fluke. It's a deliberate plan of government to relaunch ourselves in the national consciousness as a hub for entrepreneurship. The quality was an issue. Branding was an issue. Access to finance was an issue. Market share was an issue. Then infrastructure was an issue. So when that group came up with the study, we said, okay, to even deal with the issue of quality, let's start with branding. And of course, everywhere the governor goes, he's known as the Made in Aba governor. Branding, every clothes, everything he wears, from shoes to clothes, are all made in Aba. When we did that, when we launched out the Made in Aba program, the result we got was that everybody became interested. Okay, so you say you produce shoes. The quality is substandard. What is this? And so in resolving that, we shot with the branding. Today, one of the conditions we gave is that, so Mr. Okeke, you produce shoe, you must put your own label. So what
was the result of all this in terms of IGRO, generation in the States?
It's growing. It's growing upwards.
Can you put a figure to it as to
well, I'm not a finance commissioner in Abia.
All right.
It's growing very
Before we go, incidentally, you are a special advisor on social investment to the Abia State government. How is the Abia State government taking advantage of the various components of the social investment programs to drive economic growth in that state?
Well, let me give credit to Mr. President for introducing social investment and social protection policies. It is a very novel policy because, prior to 2015, the poverty in Nigeria became, at some point, the poverty capital of the world. And these social investment programs were, akin to resolving and helping improve the livelihood of Nigeria. And so the 4 components of social investment, like I can tell you for a fact, Abia remains a priority state, even though a PDP state, a priority state for social investment in the Southeast. We are leveraging on the social investment program. For the school feeding, Abia had actually launched the school feeding program before even the federal government. And today, I don't know for any other state, Abia is the only state that feeds from primary 1 to primary 6. The federal government homegrown school feeding program stops at primary 3, but also because everything we do in Abia has underlying philosophies, we extended the program to primary 6. And that has, had several multiplier effects.
All right, just before we go, the collective interest group of Abia, once said that converting Abia's comparative advantages into competitive advantages ensures that the economy of the state rests on strong pillars of trade and commerce. Yeah. How far, have the state gone with that? Are there challenges?
So we came up with 5 pillars and 5 enablers, one of which is trade and commerce, small-scale manufacturing, because that is one of the biggest things in terms of comparative and competitive advantage. We're investing heavily in those areas. First, of course, our security architecture in the state is top-notch. you know, since 2015, there has never been a single case of bank robbery in the whole of Abia State. We are investing heavily in infrastructure. Like I told you, 180 roads, cement rigid pavement technology. Those roads have a lifespan of 10 to 30 years. We're investing heavily in human capacity development. We built a multi-skilled disciplinary center where our young people were investing heavily in training, retraining our youths, you know, and exposing them to tech opportunities of the entrepreneurial platforms in the state. We set up a state microfinance bank to enhance access to finance.